I used to think that technology brought families closer together. Social media, video calls, instant messaging, all these modern conveniences designed to keep us connected. But on that rainy afternoon in September, as I sat at my husband's desk trying to figure out why his laptop kept crashing, I discovered how technology could also harbor the darkest secrets of those we trust most. The problems with Mark's laptop had started 3 weeks earlier. Random shutdowns, mysterious error messages, and increasingly sluggish performance. As the family's unofficial tech support person, a role I'd earned through years of solving everyone's printer problems and Wi-Fi issues, I naturally offered to take a look. Mark had been oddly resistant at first, insisting he'd take it to a repair shop. But with our daughter's college tuition due and repair shops charging astronomical fees, he eventually relented. I never expected that a routine disk cleanup would unravel 15 years of marriage. The first red flag appeared when I noticed the laptop's storage was nearly full. Mark wasn't the type to keep many files. He usually stored everything in the cloud. As I dug deeper into the folders, trying to identify what was consuming so much space, I found a hidden directory filled with chat logs and emails. The folder name was a seemingly random string of numbers and letters, the kind of name you'd use if you didn't want someone to notice it. My heart rate quickened as I opened the first file. I told myself I was just being thorough, that this was part of diagnosing the computer's problems. But deep down, I knew I was crossing a line. Yet something, intuition, perhaps, pushed me forward. The contents hit me like a physical blow. Countless conversations with multiple women, spanning the last 3 years. Some were brief flirtations, others deeply emotional exchanges. But the most recent ones, with someone named Claire, were different. They were intimate, filled with plans and promises. Photos shared, secrets exchanged, dreams discussed. While I'd been planning our anniversary trip to Maine, my husband had been planning a life with someone else. I sat there for what felt like hours, scrolling through message after message, each one another crack in the foundation of my reality. The timestamps told their own story. Late-night conversations when he'd claimed to be working, morning messages sent while we ate breakfast together, weekend exchanges during our family movie nights. Every memory of the past 3 years now needed to be re-examined, recontextualized through this new lens of betrayal. The most painful messages weren't the explicit ones or the declarations of love. They were the casual, everyday exchanges that showed how deeply this parallel life ran. Claire knew my husband's coffee order, his favorite books, his childhood stories. She'd become his confidant, his emotional partner, all through the quiet hum of digital connections. As I delved deeper, I discovered that technology had become my husband's accomplice in ways I hadn't imagined possible. Hidden apps, secret email accounts, carefully deleted browser histories. He'd created an entire infrastructure of deception. The laptop crashes, I realized, were probably due to the strain of running multiple encrypted messaging apps and storage-heavy video chat programs. My daughter Emma found me still at the desk as evening fell, tears silently rolling down my cheeks as I stared at the screen. At 17, she was perceptive enough to know something was terribly wrong. I couldn't hide this from her. She deserved to know how her father's actions would affect our family. As I showed her some of the tamer messages, her face went through the same emotions I'd experienced. Shock, disbelief, anger, hurt. That night, we waited for Mark to come home. Emma retreated to her room, unable to face him immediately. I sat in the living room, the laptop open on the coffee table, a silent accusation waiting to be acknowledged. When he walked in and saw me there, saw the laptop screen glowing with his secrets, he knew. The carefully constructed walls between his two lives came crashing down in an instant. What followed were the hardest conversations of our lives. Mark tried to minimize it at first, claiming it was just online chatting, that nothing physical had happened. But as I confronted him with the evidence, plans they'd made, places they'd met, photos they'd shared, the truth emerged. His digital infidelity had crossed into the physical world multiple times, with Claire and others. Emma's reaction hit him the hardest. When she finally came downstairs and faced him, her words were devastating in their simplicity. "How could you do this to Mom? To us?" The look on his face as he realized how his actions had affected our daughter. That was the first genuine emotion I'd seen from him in years. The following weeks were a blur of lawyers, counseling sessions, and difficult decisions. Emma threw herself into her college applications, suddenly eager to put physical distance between herself and the fragments of our family life. I discovered that while technology had exposed my husband's infidelity, it also provided a lifeline. Online support groups connected me with others who'd experienced similar betrayals. Video calls allowed me to talk with my sister across the country when I needed someone to lean on at 3 a.m. The most surreal moment came when I received a message from Claire herself. She'd found me on social media and wanted to apologize, claiming she hadn't known Mark was married. But as I read her message, I realized she was lying. There were too many details in those chat logs that proved she'd known about me, about Emma, about our whole life. She'd simply chosen to ignore our existence, just as Mark had chosen to betray our trust. Looking back now, I understand that technology itself wasn't the problem. Like any tool, it simply amplified what was already there. In this case, my husband's capacity for deception and his emotional disconnection from our family. The digital world had made it easier for him to lead a double life, but it hadn't created his desire to do so. 6 months have passed since that rainy afternoon at the desk. Emma is thriving in her first semester at college, though I know she still struggles with trust issues in her own relationships. I've moved into a smaller house where I'm slowly rebuilding my life. Mark still sends emails occasionally, asking for another chance, promising he's changed. Each time I archive them without responding. Some bridges, once broken, can't be rebuilt with digital messages and empty promises. Surprisingly, I still serve as the family tech support person, now for Emma and my parents, helping them navigate their devices and digital lives. But I do it with a different perspective, understanding how technology can both reveal and conceal the truth about the people we love. If you're watching this and have ever discovered betrayal through technology, know that you're not alone. The digital age has given us new ways to connect, but it's also created new forms of infidelity and deception. Share your stories in the comments below. How has technology impacted your relationships, for better or worse? Don't forget to subscribe to hear more real-life stories about love, betrayal, and healing in the digital age. Hit that notification bell to join our community of survivors and supporters, because sometimes the most important connections we make are with those who understand our pain.